welcome to the Frenchitivity Podcast, hanging out at Lanta by the Sea here on Koh Lanta Island in Thailand, and it has been an experience that we will never soon forget, and making our experience even better are two people joining us here on the podcast this afternoon. We have Nadeem and Dionne, Arshad. Thank you guys for being with us. This is amazing. We're going to jump into some things why not only you become friends, but why your stories become so inspirational to us.
Why we want to be you when we grow up.
There's so many things.
You're our spirit guides.
Yes, and this is awesome. Let's set the scene real quickly, because we had several different areas we could have done this podcast, but we wanted to be by the water, with our kids, drinking smoothies, except for me, because I didn't have the night Nadeem had last night. So I'm jumping on the Chang early here, but we love to start these podcasts, guys, by kind of telling that we have three things that we're based on. Frenchitivity is what we call us. The last name is French, but I'm going to let Michelle take this because she kind of takes things off the top.
Oh, okay, great. Excellent. Yeah. Well, yeah, and we'll make our way to introduce everything about who you are, but Frenchitivity for us is about creativity and possibility and tranquility. And our goal is to travel the world and demonstrate where these occur. And when we were introduced to Bliss Hub and to you embody all three of those magically perfectly. So, tell us, how have you come to be in Thailand? Why are you on the road? What are you doing here? Enlighten us.
As the Backstreet Boys would say, tell me why.
Before we just talk about the backstory, just to address those three words you use, which you feel has encapsulated what Bliss Hubs means to you, is there was no intention to make those three words become something to you. They just happen. Is that fair to say? They just happen. All we've done is facilitated an environment where like-minded families come together, and that creativity and those other two words you just mentioned there, they just pop up and naturally occur, and it's a very organic process that we're going through. It's evolving without us controlling it, to be fair.
As do so many things in life. Yes. We are the vessel for these cool things to unfold, and that is part of the journey too.
So where do we... Do you want to start with how do we end up here?
I was trying to think of the quickest story so it doesn't go on for too long. But I think, like everybody, they always believe there's something else. And you think, why are we here? Why have we got this house? What are we doing? Like we had this house, but we didn't live in it. The kids went to school, we didn't see them. So we got the bad bits of the school. We got when they came home from school, when they were tired and grumpy, and we got the morning when we were rushing them to school. And then we've got the journey to school and the stress that creates and everything else. And we have nothing wrong with the school system, but we realized that there was more to life than the life we were living. So we started making little changes.
You forgot to mention you also got the grumpy and tired husband who had to work quite hard to maintain that. We don't say unhappy. Ever. We don't say unhappy. We don't say stressed or burnt out. What we say is unfulfilled. So this tired husband was working hard to maintain that unfulfilling life for his family, because it costs so much to live in the UK. So we're kind of like sitting there, questioning what it's all
happiness.
about.
We're not happy, are we? So why are we doing it?
What
are we doing?
We're just feeling like it's an average life, and I'm sure that no one. Some people settle for an average life, but we don't.
No, because when you feel like you've got no choice, I think that's why. But I think we'd both travelled before, so we'd seen other people living different lives. So we knew it existed. We just didn't know how we were going to do it.
Before we met, we'd travelled the world separately, and it just so happens that we then met, made a family. And then that bug that sits inside you, that travel bug, it never goes. It just needs igniting at the right point. And to Dionne's point about people, you have choices. Everyone has a choice. But what we found is we've spoke to so many families who've said, how did you do this? How do you travel with all those children? How do you afford it? How do you get past all those big milestones to leave your life and start a new one? It just takes courage and conviction. And if you've got those two qualities in abundance, nothing's insurmountable. You can achieve it, and we have. And we were worried. We were really, when we were selling all our stuff and the cars were gone and the house was being let out, we were like, is this right?
The reason why we did that is we realised it meant nothing. That's why. We were like, none of this means anything anymore. I'd rather sell everything. He thought I was having a midlife crisis. I said, let's just sell it all. Let's just sell it all.
I'm naturally a hoarder. I like to hoard stuff. Now, being a hoarder as you move around is almost impossible, right?
That's
crazy. So I'm watching all this stuff, leaving the drive, leaving the loft.
The cars.
And I'm like, we might need that. We might need that. She goes, let it go.
You don't need it.
Let it go. Just let it go.
Just let it go.
And so I've come to realise that actually you don't need anything.
No, you don't need anything.
The things that aren't important are replaceable, and you just keep moving on, and you just keep following. You follow your instincts. Do I feel happy? Yeah, we'll stay for longer then. Do we need a change of scenery? Yeah, we can do that, not a problem. There's nothing that's holding us back anymore.
So we had a little tester, so we got the motorhome, and the plan was to sell everything and live in the motorhome and just travel in the motorhome. We realised for a family of 7 it was more expensive living in a motorhome, actually, because you've got to park that big. You can't just park anywhere, you can't just be anywhere, you've got to pay to park. So then I realised, actually, we're making our life more difficult. We've got no washing machine, there's wet sandy clothes and towels everywhere, we have to empty our toilet every day.
Right.
Yeah, I think the expense thing for Dionne wasn't the showstopper, it was what she's just describing there. Yeah. We're all confined to
squished.
One metal tin on wheels, and although you can get out of parks and stretch your legs, we are still living in that space.
Together. And it's okay when it's sunny, but when it's raining and you're all stuck together.
And to put that into some context, is this all in the UK? This is in the UK? And this is in 2020?
It was actually, it was the first year of COVID.
Okay.
So we literally were very lucky because we may not have gone on our Europe trip, which we always planned to do with the motorhome, but COVID, there was a window open where we could get the motorhome, we could get on the ferry that took us to Spain from England, and everything fell into place for a short window of time. Yeah. And then we were travelling around Europe during COVID. But as Dionne was saying, we enjoy what the motorhome trip told us was we loved that nomadic lifestyle where you're 1 minute you're in Porto in Portugal and you go, we've done now, we've seen what we need to see, we've experienced the culture, let's move on to Spain and go into the mountains. And it's all within your own gift.
Well, you realise you need less, because everything, like when you go on a holiday, whatever's in that suitcase is your whole life, and you don't need all your ornaments and your things at home, all your stuff. You just live out of that suitcase, and you're quite happy living out of that suitcase. And we found that in the motorhome, we were happy living there, but then we realised actually it's probably more cost effective to live in Airbnbs than it is to live in a motorhome. And then at least we've got more things, right? More comforts, more.
Yeah.
And so
less
we did
bills,
a spreadsheet.
less overheads, less admin. I mean, I'm going to say from my perspective, it's different from Dionne's. Dionne's looking at different things that she likes about this nomadic lifestyle that we have. Whereas for me, the pressure is lifted. I don't have to manage all the car insurances, the road taxes, the bills, the broadband. We've got a few properties that we manage in the UK. That also is an administrative burden. Yeah, we literally have reduced, or we call it decluttered, by about 70-80%. And all I've got to do now is a tax return once a year, and that's about it. The schools, the local education authority, they email me once a year to go, are your children okay? Are you homeschooling them? Is everything going all right? And we just go, yeah, everything's fine. And they go, okay, we'll talk to you again in 12 months. That's how much the UK cares about whether we're homeschooling properly, etc.
We want to dive into that a little bit more too, about what you are doing, but I'm sure you have questions. I want to take a little step back for a moment, because I think to your point that you brought up of like people are like, how are you doing this? How could you sell everything? And so let's sit in that moment for just a second. Like, 2 parts to this question for me is like, how did that conversation go? Because one of the things we get asked a lot is like, it's fine for one person to have a wanderlust and a travel bug, and like, you kind of have it and you satisfy it through certain travel, but for both of you to have it, at the same time, for both of you to have it at the same time with children, how did the actual conversation go when you're like, let's do it?
Yeah.
He thought I was crazy. I was like, sell everything.
The weird thing was, here's how weird it was. She says was this during COVID? So she's running around with 3 or 4 laptops trying to do lessons with the teachers because
They're all in
everyone's locked
different
down,
years, right? So I have to
And
log into different years at different times.
whilst
with
it didn't feel
4,
good,
5
yeah.
children.
Whilst it didn't feel very good for you, it told us that actually homeschooling is possible. You don't have to put them in a classroom, drop them off and leave them to it.
And I think the whole world found that out, didn't they?
Yeah.
They realised actually we can work remotely. We can change our lifestyle a little bit. That's more flexible for us.
Yeah.
But
But you started to say, well, why don't we maybe do this full time? They can homeschool, we can travel, and at the time I was like working full time.
you crazy?
I wasn't happy, but at the same time I was like, why would you disrupt what we have? We've got a comfortable lifestyle. The kids are in school.
It's taken us a
We're
long
earning
time to
enough
get
to
here.
cover the bills. We have a couple of holidays a year. We're your typical 9 to 5. You know,
yeah, we're okay.
Family,
Why?
What was your job, by the way? What did you do?
it was financial services, so it was 9 to 5 on a laptop, products and marketing management strategy, that type of stuff, which I found out is easily transferable into a location independent lifestyle, which is great.
Love this question actually and exploring this. So part of our goal too is to like the through threads, right? Like what's similar about all of us that start thinking about this? And that's one of the biggest things that, you know, we didn't leave anything behind except for the stuff, but what we brought with us and leveraging those skill sets. So what was transferable, as you just mentioned? Like how do you leverage what you knew how to do in that environment into this one?
You have to reinvent yourself to a degree, because I was in a role that was quite traditional, so there was relationships to manage face to face. A bit more difficult to do that, but not impossible on a video call. And I found that I actually had quite a good knack for connecting people, where you see opportunities for commercial growth in what they have and what they have. And I've actually now started to connect people, and I've got 4 or 5 conversations ongoing that might turn into something where they go, oh yeah, Nadeem, you made this conversation happen. We think you should get a slice of the pie. And so I realise I don't need to be in one country to do that, or even one room or anywhere. You just need an internet connection, a laptop, and some savvy, and away you go.
Just some savvy.
But I can always fall back on my day job, as I call it, because my CV is strong. And there are people that need my experience and my knowledge, especially in Asia, where they see the European or the US world as ahead of the curve. So they go, oh, these guys are from Europe, they know what they're doing. Let's get him in here so we can learn from him. So I'm putting myself about, but it's on and off. It's given us enough work to make ends meet.
I think the biggest thing for you as well, he'd invested so much time in his degree that he thought he couldn't change path. He had to stick to the job that he'd always learned. But then you realise, actually, I think when you come to different countries, you realise they do things differently. There's different ways. I think there's lots of entrepreneurs here. People are always looking for ideas and businesses and different ways of doing things. So then he was like, oh,
I just
you
call
could
myself
sell ice cream on the side in a van, or you could set up some food or Etsy thing or some. You start thinking more entrepreneurial. Like, what does the world need? What could I do? What could I
kept saying,
give?
oh, I'm marketing and product strategy. That's all I do. Actually, I'd widened it to I'm commercial growth.
Start
that could
to
mean anything.
open up
Anything. Well, plus you also now have the space to think like that.
You don't have to be so narrow in your thought. Now you can think more and expand
I
and
realised
do anything and try your hand at everything. you
I've
know?
worked in big corporates all my life, and what I realise now that I'm independent, and I've got people listening to me and saying, well, he must know what he's talking about from where he's come from. Well, you can blag it to a degree, but when you're in those big corporates, they kind of you become brainwashed into doing everything within a process and within a rule book, and it's quite siloed. And you know, that for me it's just liberating to know now I don't have to answer to anybody. I'm free.
And I always take it too is, you know, I couldn't have done what we're doing now without the experiences I went through. I wasn't ready to do this 10 years ago. And to your point with like the degree and the business and everything going well, it's like I had the same thing, but it's like now that I'm here, all this other stuff makes sense. We're utilizing all this other experience to be able to do this with the podcasting, the broadcasting, the blogging, whatever it may be, using her talents, using the stuff that, you know, my experience, and it makes sense now.
And it's interesting you talked about timing, because when Dionne and I first met, and we had quite a lot of children, them being very young, traveling with them probably never entered our mind. And also I was still building my CV. And so we got to a point where we think like the universe aligned for us, was that our kids are now a bit older. We're definitely feeling a bit more like we don't want to stay in this same place, in this hamster wheel, doing the same stuff. My CV is strong enough to try and get work independently, and everything felt like it moved into place for us. Our parents were still healthy, etc., etc. All the things you need to consider. We didn't have any cats, we weren't leaving any dogs behind. You know, these are the barriers that you hear people putting in the way. Oh, I can't leave my nan, or, you know, I've got a cat, what can I do? I can't travel, I've got a cat at home. And you hear all these different...
and maybe it's fear, because like what you were saying, similar, like where you were like, no, we have everything, why are we changing? But then now you're like, oh, actually, my wife has got some skills we can harness, we can work together, we can do something different, and opening up your mindset. But there'll be people listening to us now going, that's what I am, that's where I am, I'm scared, because I've got everything here.
When you talk about, oh, I have a cat, oh, my parents, or whatever it may be, or my job, or whatever it is, they're creating their own roadblocks. You can get through those.
And they're probably looking at us going, because you mentioned property. Oh, he's got property, hasn't he? He's got he's got loads of money, so he's here. Well, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't cover all the bills.
Work like
Look
that.
at us and go, whoa, he must have done well in broadcasting, or she must have sold her business. But no, we're actually utilizing funds we've had saved and some retirement. This is like, we're just putting it out there. And I tell myself all the time, because I have to have self-talks.
You do good with this.
But nobody can take away your yesterdays, but they can take away your tomorrows. And so what we're building now will always be part of a yesterday that I will have with you, with Everly, with all the people that we're meeting. And my camera just fell and took out a light. But that's okay.
I've got it.
Thank you, Ev. That was my magnet camera, Nadeem. It was. I had it so proud. It was our wide shot. A bird landed on it.
A bird perched on it.
Come on, bird.
Oh, this is still part of it. This is fun. Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you, Ev.
Sorry.
Appreciate it. It's okay.
Our P over there.
Our wide shot's gone. No big deal.
Wide shot's gone. That was the best shot. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
But no. So I hear what
you
you're
were saying.
No
one can take away what?
No one can take away my phone. Apparently they can.
Yeah, they can. It's a bird.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. It is those self-induced, roadblocks that we're talking about, and that you get, like, people are going to be listening to this. And that being said, I wanted to ask you. This kind of brings me into that. Our support system was good, but we had a lot of people going, well, I don't understand what you're doing. Why are you doing this? Even I will think my mom and my stepdad retired at 54. They're in their early 80s now, and they bought a motorhome and traveled the U.S. So they actually went, we get it. But they're the only people that said we get it. I think everybody else was supportive in their own way, but they didn't know what we're doing and why I'm doing it. I mean, I had to resign from my 20-year career, and it was crazy.
It's the same, and it's quite scary. It's quite scary because you don't know what's on the other side of that.
Yes.
I won't quote anyone, so they stay anonymous. But I'll throw in you're throwing your career down the drain. You're damaging the kids.
Yeah.
You're just
It's a
thinking about
midlife
yourselves.
crisis.
This is not about the kids. This is about you.
What about
two.
their education?
Yeah.
How are they going to socialize? How are they going to get jobs? How are they going to get qualifications and exams and the traditional route?
You're removed from the system, which means you'll be forgotten. Your country will forget you. All this stuff you hear.
But what we understand now, that people don't understand either what's on the other side. So unless they have lived it themselves, they can't give you any advice, and we can't reply with anything because we don't know what's on the other side. But we had faith that it was going to be okay.
Trust the process.
I don't know what that is, but we were like, no, this is so amazing. It has to be okay.
When we look back at that first flight, when those wheels lifted off the tarmac, I still feel the butterflies that I felt then.
Moment
because
ever.
It was like it was 90% were doing the right thing, but there was still that 10%
unknown.
Are we? It was really. And I say these feelings, whether it's nerves, excitement, these are all feelings we should be feeling on a regular basis. This is what makes us feel alive. I wasn't feeling those feelings in my 9-to-5 hamster wheel routine. It was just work, home, school, kids.
Even the conversations with the same people, the same friends, the same things.
Just the usual stuff.
Just the same monotonous day, like Groundhog Day, the same thing over and over again.
So we said to each other, if this pays off and it works, and we'll know it works after about 6 to 12 months, we should tell the world. So that's why we set up Meet the Arshads across all the socials. We started to document what we were doing, and because we felt like it was our duty to let other, and I'm talking thousands of families out there, as we now know, because we get quite a lot of messages from all over the world where they go, we're following you, you're inspiring us, we have no idea, we thought it wasn't possible, you've now told us it is possible. And then they keep in touch with us and say, almost like we're mini kind of therapists for them. They'll go, I've just sold my house.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we'll go like,
and
well
that's
done,
really
we're
lovely.
nearly
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And then I'll get another one go, cars are sold. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and it's awesome to see it actually happen. I go, we've been there, we've been there, you'll be fine.
They don't get it. They're not getting it.
Well,
Like, just like you weren't. Just like we necessarily weren't.
At the beginning, because you don't know, do you? But when you live it, you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't we do this sooner? This is crazy. You did a spreadsheet, didn't you, of
People keep
life
asking.
at home and life
I'm a
here.
details person,
Okay.
right? I sweat the detail. The spreadsheets are
Every price.
like
Everything.
I don't do that.
it's
Everything.
to-do
We can
lists
talk later.
split by tabs, finances, what to pack, blah blah blah, and they're all there, and they're still there from the original day, months leading up to the travel. I've also got a tracker, a cost tracker that I've kept from day one. It's now a massive spreadsheet, and it's there for many reasons. One, in case somebody else wanted to take the budget template and help themselves, we could help them. Also, just to remind ourselves of we've got to
What we're spending,
we're not flush with cash. We still have to maintain a budget. But it also helped us to make a video about how we spend 50% less in our travel lifestyle around Southeast
Than we
Asia
did
than
at
we do
home.
in the UK.
Which is crazy, right?
And we're 1,000,000 times happier. So it's just a no-brainer for anyone who's contemplating this.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all, as you know. All the people you've met, there's different types of life. You don't have to sell everything and leave forever. You can do 6 months at home, 6 months traveling. We know friends that moved away in the winter periods. Instead of paying the bills to warm their house, they used that money to live somewhere else when it was warmer, right?
Yep.
So, and it balanced out, which is crazy.
Well, I think what you're saying too is like there's different ways that fit this lifestyle for different people, but the whole idea is where you started with it of like just finding the community that supports the thought process. So everything we know, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of, you fill in the blank, of whatever that fear is, whatever that gap in comfort was, and when you can get to the other side. But then on the other side, what we found immediately when we started traveling, and I do think people were very supportive, but immediately on the other side, you're like, where's my people? Like, I did it, I made the leap, and I have my people, but like, who do I talk to about this? Who do I share?
We've been back to the UK a couple of times, well, once, and felt a bit lost.
By the way, this is beautiful right now.
Yeah,
you can see
all the
this. We have
people
all
here.
the people are here. All the kids are here.
They are the reason that we do
this is
everything
so
that
awesome.
we do.
It's
So everyone, hello.
It doesn't take long before they start asking for things, doesn't it? I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need a pool, I want a towel, I want a drink.
What can you help anyone with? What does anyone need that we can help with?
I said, look, wait until after the interview, and then we'll sort something out.
Yeah,
But
jump
you
in the
just
pool,
gotta give
cool
us a
off, and then
minute,
we'll
okay?
finish up here.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Nadeem. I know you're talking about just your people.
Yes, people. These are our people now.
So this is our tribe. I've never spent so much time with my family as I have over the last few years, and I've got used to it. Yeah, I still want to run a mile every now and again, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because we also say you've only got a certain amount of time with these guys before they all literally move away, don't want to spend time with you, and that's it. And so
This is why I wanted to fast forward to the Jaden situation, because that kind of sums up the question that you just asked as well.
we're missing one.
So we came out and we were looking for our tribe, and we thought we'd naturally. Can you just please hold on?
Yeah, take this. Can you all go away, please? Thank
Come on,
you.
good.
All of you.
He was 14 going into 15, and we went travelling. He was already at home with us anyway, because we knew he was all packing up ready to go. So when we got to the other side where we were travelling, we realised he wasn't happy, and we thought he would be really happy. We did scuba diving, we did rock climbing, but we thought we'd find people. We thought we'd naturally just go to the beach. There'd be loads of kids, loads of families. But what you forget is that families are coming to places for holiday. They come, they don't need any friends. They just want to come on holiday, have a good time, and go home. They don't want to make any connections really. where for us, it became more of a way of life. We wanted to make connections. We wanted to be part of something. We wanted our tribe, and we didn't find it. So the first 4 months, we were quite lonely.
Yeah.
My mum flew out to visit us in Phuket. She see how, our teen son's really lonely, because you find at 15, they seem to just disappear. There's no 15 onwards. I don't know where they go, where they are. And he got really lonely. And we tried a little bit too late, didn't we? Trying to find, every time there was a teenager, I was like,
if we'd
sitting
known
next to
then,
that family. Hi, hi.
If we'd
I
known
see you've got a
then-
teenager.
That's not how I want to meet these people.
if we'd known then what we know
Embarrassing.
now, we're pretty sure he'd still be here.
Yeah,
Because
which is
the
heartbreaking.
community that we've formed, which we can touch on if you
Now.
want to, the community that we've formed is now littered with children from
many
2 years up to 15 years, and he would have had those companions around
Straight
him
away,
all the
as soon
time.
as we came
and
in.
so there's not one day that goes by where we look at a message from him or
regret.
we have a quick call with him and we regret that we didn't do what we could have done
First.
that we now know.
How old is he now?
He's
He'll
now
be-
coming up to 17.
Yeah.
But he's happy.
So Valentine's Day. But he is happy at home
He's
because
happy. He's
my
really
mum's
tells
got
us he's
10.
really happy.
He's got loads of cousins, loads of aunties, loads of friends. He went back to school and he did the last year, which was just the exams.
Yeah.
And he treated it like a bit of a youth club because it was all these kids. They went on like camping trips and like rock bands and all this stuff. He's now in a music college.
Oh, amazing.
So he loves his life and he loves his independence away from us.
You know,
But we fly him out wherever we are. We flew him out to Kuala
Yeah.
Lumpur. He's only just left us about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He was in Pai with us and then we flew him home and we came here. So he can come out whenever he wants and the door is always open for him.
Yeah.
But he sort of said, let me finish music college, let me see where I'm at. He wants to go to America, that's his thing. He wants to go to America.
but just coming back to that time,
House for rent.
Yeah, you can have a home. You can
Send him there.
time is precious. I now want to spend my life as much as I can with my children, with my
Yeah.
family, with my wife.
We know there's a
And
time
I don't-
limit
If I
now.
can do that, where I'd only have to work 2 or 3 days a week and I can be remote, I've got the best work-life balance I could ever ask for. And now I don't have to just watch them growing up from afar. I can be with them growing up, which is what makes this lifestyle special.
Because you
That's
know,
a
like
legacy we're
16,
creating.
right? 16 years old, I think that's when they love you, but they need to then spread their wings, and you've got to let them go. You can't hold
We're
on.
on borrowed time.
I get sad thinking about it. I mean, you're living it, and you have these here going, I got to soak this in as much as I possibly can.
10-year-old twins, we're like, how many? We've got 5 years? 4 or 5 years, we know now.
We're sitting in a room, and our work, which I enjoy, is obviously this is wonderful, but then we get to edit and put it together and put it up and do the socials and try to figure out how to market it. And Everly will sit to us and go, when are you going to stop working? I go, well, honey, you're going to laugh someday, but we're all in the same room working. Like you're doing an
She's like,
iPad
"You're
and
talking
doing
to
some math, and we're doing. She's
like, "You're talking about me."
You know, we're doing this, but like that is, we're all in the same room together. And I traveled 150 days a year, and she worked weekends, nights, and holidays doing events. So we were never home at the same time. So it is a weird balance, though.
Yeah.
Like we are all together, but yet we're still working. You got to find that balance still, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's still life. It's just life in a different place.
Yeah, because you can't be 24/7 in each other's like, come on, let's play games now. Let's do this stuff. Let's like, stuff has to
At the
happen.
beginning, we're just going to play the whole time, but like, no, there still has to be this.
I'd happily open my laptop and do that editing you just talked about on a sun
Yeah.
lounger while my children are in front of me in the sea.
This really is not tough at all. I mean, yes.
It's exactly what you said, that you're building the hardship, that you're building legacy, that we are showing them there's a different way if they choose. We are trying to show really anyone who wants to look and listen that there is a different way if they're willing to stretch themselves, and that what in a blessed way, what she doesn't understand is this is nothing like at home, that we weren't able to be together in those same ways, that our minds were not always there even if we were there, because we're thinking about all the other things. So the quality, regardless, like you said, you get to now watch them so much more, be with them so much more. And do you need to step away? Do you need a minute? Of course, but like even watching them right now, we wouldn't have this if we were just at home. So the quality of life increases, the legacy that we're building. It makes a huge difference.
And when it's time for them to fly the nest, we won't look back and go, we didn't maximise our time with them, we won't regret anything we've done. And those memories they take with them will shape their thinking, their future, how they spend time with their children. We've set something in motion here that's going to carry on when we're gone.
The Worldschooling is that we've listened to and we've adapted. We're only 3.5 months in, but I can only imagine going back to school and reading a book and going, wait a second, I was there. I did that. It's really unique. Like you said, the groundwork we're laying for our kids, but I do want to touch base based on the reason we're here, the reason we met you is the community that you have developed that you mentioned when you were talking about your eldest son. How did this come about?
If only Jaden knew just how much he inspired. Because the emotions we felt, we were like, well, we need to now do something so that other families don't feel how we felt, So we then bumped into another family quite early on in our travels, Matt and Deborah Preston, and they were in a similar boat to us, always looking for community or like-minded families, and that's where Bliss Hubs was born. Because
we realised we had to educate our
us.
Children somehow, and also we need community. So our children made friends with their children, and we were very close. And then we just kept choosing to meet in the same places.
Where did you first meet them? Where were you in
Chiang Mai? We met in Chiang Mai, and then we met again in Pai. Then we met again in Johor Bahru, and then Koh Lanta. So we just keep moving around together. So we thought, actually, we're really enjoying each other's company. This is great.
All you have to do is go, oh, it would be great if we had a few more families that were doing, or they'd say, oh, we know another family we met when we wasn't with you. We'll ask them to come along too. And we say, well, we knew a family that we liked, and we think you'd like them too. And before you know it,
we had a massive group that started growing.
And then if you simply bottle it and put a name on it, and give it some form of structure, then people start to say, well, you're in a Bliss community because that's what you called it, and I like that. I like the sound of that. Can I come to see you guys wherever you go next? And then it evolved from there.
We had even people from England that said, we want to come to Thailand. Where are you going to be? And we said, oh, we're going to be in Koh Lanta at this date. Come out. And they come out, and then we help them, let's show you what accommodations around and where we're going to be and what we're going to do. And then slowly, we sort of hold their hand, and then you see them, it's actually a proud moment when you see them fly. You see them get a job, we've met a lot of single mums that came out, had no idea what they were going to do, but they just had to break free from their old life. Yeah. And then seeing them come out here, find jobs, sustain their living, get a home. It's just
the communities they're joining. They're all parents, right? So they all want to a degree. They're all going to look after each other's children because they're parents. And then that single parent that Dionne just spoke about, she feels respite. Like it's not all just having to just make sure a child's okay, because now the child has friends that they can play with and give her a break. And that, although it sounds like a small thing,
right? The tribe.
That's a big thing for them.
The tribe that you've been looking for, that it takes how many, it takes a community or something, or a village to raise a child?
Yeah.
We are creating the village. Yeah. This is the village.
Well, and I feel like what's so interesting about that too, and we've talked a little bit off this podcast about it, is that something happens at home, and where we, the United States, UK, we've decided we're going to be really independent. We've decided we can kind of do it all on our own. And I mean, this goes back, this is like a whole other unpacking, right? But I didn't realize what we were sort of in until I could take a little step out of it, because you're in it, and that's the whole plan, right? You can step out of it a minute, but then you're like, we do need the village. So whether we're at home doing whatever we were doing, whether we're on the road, this village, this community. So what I find so intriguing about Bliss and about what you've created is that we need this no matter where we are. This is the essence of how we learn, how we raise our kids in a beautiful way. Bliss should literally be it should just be everywhere.
Is everything, at home or abroad, if you want to say, but we just like the fact that you can pick and choose where you go, and that community will follow if you know how to bring them together. And why not choose somewhere where the ocean's 30 centigrade, where everyone around you's smiling and happy and not stressed, because that improves your quality of life. And so that's what Bliss does. Bliss is wherever you want it to be. So we've touched it down into Pai, which is in northern Thailand, Koh Lanta, which is here, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and
Vietnam and Bali.
Bali. We're not in Vietnam yet, but we're looking at that.
We've opened.
And
we've got friends already there that we
Yeah.
met in Kuala Lumpur that are running a hub already. And I think it's a paid-for hub, but it's for teenagers.
Yeah.
So what we would do is just sit beside them. How can we help you with your teen hub? And how can we keep our hub organic and free? And the reason we want it to be free is because if you pay for something, people have a very high expectation of you are now giving somebody a service. And actually we want people to be responsible for their own families and their own decisions. And we work together to then create, like it's an organic friendship. Like we've met lots of friends that have befriended me because they have a hub, a paid for hub, and they're really nice to me because they want my children in their hub. But if you take away that price tag, would you still be talking to me if you're not trying to sell me a hub? Have we got a real organic friendship because you like me and I like you, right? Not just because I've got loads of children and you want all of my children in your hub. And we're trying to keep it like that so that everybody wants to be there and they have a commitment and responsibility. They can come and go whenever they want. If it becomes
If you buy
a paid-for
something,
hub,
you enter into a contract,
Yeah.
right? You're paying for a product or a service. If there's a contract, there's an expectation.
there's nothing wrong with that because we know some hub
That's
owners
fine.
have incredible hubs and you're paying for the accommodation, the food, the itinerary,
Yeah.
and it's all done for you.
And as soon as you then have somebody saying, well, I've paid for this, you're going to have to do this, this and this for me, otherwise I won't be happy.
Like, I don't like
all
the
of a sudden,
food,
we're going
I
to
don't
start,
like
it's
my
going to change how we
accommodation.
live, right?
Shoulders become a little heavier.
Yeah.
Comes that memory
Yeah.
comes back again, going, wait a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these
And like I've
activities,
paid for this, so I want more. Give
Now
me
your
more.
customer service people
It's
versus
different.
just
yeah, we're
I'm
not,
going to complain to you, and I want you to.
we don't want to
Yeah.
monetize friendships.
No.
And-
That's
and-
it. We need
and-
that strap line on a t-shirt.
And
That's a great way to phrase it.
There's merchandise coming. There is merchandise coming. You can have.
Yes, we have got
And like-
Bliss. We've got
so-
the t-shirt with the Bliss on it.
we've got a small e-commerce store on the Bliss website where you can purchase a Worldschooler's family guide to Koh Lanta because it's helping you find what you need on this island quickly, what's safe for children, because we've been here for so long, we know all the expats here, and so
The
all the contributions
accommodation,
to this book are
restaurants,
family friendly. But if you bought that, you then get something back in return, which helps you. If you buy it because you still don't need and you don't need it, it's a gesture towards all the hours we put in, because we don't ask for anything back. So it's almost like an indirect. It's like a buy me a coffee.
Also,
kind of, thing
it
on
answers
YouTube.
questions that we get asked over and over and over again, and it's all in the book. I'm like, there's all the visas, there's all the accommodation. This is the best restaurants for kids. It's there.
Yeah. Where the pharmacies
that.
are, where the grocery stores are, everything.
Yeah, everything.
And I think that's okay. We feel that's okay. Bliss hubs will always be free, but if you want to buy a cap or a T-shirt with a Bliss logo on, which is great for awareness, you're getting something in return. Why not?
Yeah.
And the kids feel like they're part of something because kids love a little bit
That's
of
cool for them, yeah.
look at us with our
I
matching
wanna-
t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. They all have their matching. I want to ask a couple things that are a follow-up on the structure. So when you're not in any of these locations, like you said, the Bliss hubs run in these other locations, and you have other families that kind of support that. When you're here, you're like the main people. If you're not here, does the hub exist?
It's a great question because we talked about 4 hubs. We talked about having our eyes on Vietnam. We don't have to physically because it's a free hub and because it's organic and it just evolves into something. We don't, as the founders, we don't have to physically be there.
No.
And it does require certain
Setup.
families with energy and drive and spare time to become focal points of that hub, because people will gravitate towards them, activities will get set up, a weekly schedule will form, and then once families come and go to this community, they'll know there's a schedule already there, and they choose to go to all of them or some of them and meet up. And we've been quite lucky in every hub we have, we could call out 2 or 3 families that have that energy and drive.
We've got.
And it just runs.
They live
It
there
just-
already.
It's
so,
like,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, on an island like this, there'll be hardly any Worldschooling families here between June and November.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because it's an off season.
Let me just say, so Pi and Koh Lanta, because of the rainy
Off-season,
season or the
yeah.
off season, not many people will be here anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like nothing really goes on.
Yeah.
It can a trickle, but
not much.
we let the
We're
families
at the
know
peak right now.
the peaks,
Yeah.
the peaks of all the seasons. That's when we will be there.
We have
But when it goes
have
down-
about 40 to 50 families here right now who've all signed up for this hub.
This is, and what just happened to happen for us. Like we found you very organically, I mean serendipitously, of course, that we happened to be here at the
Yes.
time when we were like, we thought we heard about this Worldschooling thing. We've heard about hubs, but I don't really know what it is. And like, we just didn't get it, you know? And then through a friend, and then all of a sudden, then it was you. And I was like, it's the answer to my prayers.
For the Bliss hubs, there is no, like, you wouldn't touch the matrix and it would, like, you know, and you're in some sort of bubble.
Show itself.
There's nothing here. You could turn up, go to one activity, and we don't see you for another month. It's up to you. Or you could be in, we know families that go to every activity, the
like
the
everyone.
gaming, the arts and craft, the sports.
And we say to them, you don't have to. You
karaoke.
don't have to go to everyone.
But they want to. They
You
want
can go
to
and look
because
at
they
the
love
island, go and explore the island, go and do some excursions.
They love meeting new families. They love the fact that the kids have. The kids are now saying, you know, Kobe's met a new friend called Linus.
Oh, he
and
loves
he constantly
this boy.
keeps saying, "Is Linus going to be there?
Every
Is
day.
Linus going to be there?" And that's
Every
lovely
day.
to see.
So that
You know,
means then
it's-
we become closer as a family because our kids want to be together all the time.
Well, and we've talked about this a lot on our travels as well. There's the community building, and there's also that like when you're at home, we have these somewhat independent lives because of how the schedule works, and someone needs to be with the kids while the other person's working or whatever it is. And you're like, who are our family friends? You know, in our school community, we have that, but like outside of that, and it becomes a little more difficult. And then if your kid becomes friends with someone, but you don't really know that family yet. So to your point, when you're in a place where you all can be together, then you can get to know those families better because they're playing and you can actually have a conversation, get to know them versus like, I don't know who that family is. I dropped my kid off at soccer. I never met the other family.
Well,
so
it's interesting too because I think we've had this conversation several times, but I don't have.
It's not one of ours. It's not one of ours, right?
No. It's the
It's like a
they're in
baby
the tent
baby.
over
Okay,
there.
okay. Sorry.
They're okay.
Sorry.
No, I don't have any close friends outside of work. I don't socialize. Like we've never had time to, or I guess taken the time because Michelle even talks about protecting my schedule. When I'm on the road and I'm on a road trip and I've been gone for 10 days, I come home and it's like, oh, so-and-so wants to go to a barbecue or go to grab Jinx. Well, I never hear about it because I don't want to go anywhere.
I was constantly
and she's protecting my
the family
schedule,
time.
and then I
And
don't.
you're tired, aren't you? You've worked all week, and then you
I'm not
probably want to
social.
spend time with him in the weekend,
Yeah.
but he wants time off. So it's like,
So
where do you fit everybody?
fast forward to Bliss, like she tells me about this. I'm like, oh, this would be great for Everly.
Yeah, this is for
Like
Everly.
this is awesome. Everly needs this. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. I can hang out. Like, what is that like? This is new for me. Like, not talking about work. It's all revolving around everything I do is all, and those are lifelong friends, but it's nothing outside of work that I have. So this is really new for me to do this, and just one more thought, like you mentioned, people want to do everything, like all the different activities. Well, Nadeem is Richard Simmons. He's a new Richard Simmons.
yeah.
So he had
Everybody's
a
sore.
workout.
Everybody's
I
still
never
sore.
thought I wanted to. So Michelle's like, oh, there's this workout cardio
go.
class, and I'm like, what? Like,
my secret life.
fine. Like, I'll go to a.
You did it.
Can I just expand on that point? Right?
Yes, he was awesome.
Can I expand on that point about, broadly speaking, the children are making friends all over the world and they're learning new languages from these children, these friends, and they're socializing in ways they couldn't do in a classroom environment. But the adults, they're making new connections that they probably couldn't have done back home. And who knows the path that me and you could walk in the future now we know each other, where new things happen. But you may have something you bring to the table for Bliss in an adult capacity. Like, I've always loved training, I always loved sports, but I've always been a 9 to 5 in a suit. All of a sudden now I've got the free time to be able to say, why don't I help other people keep fit? You know?
And do what you
I
love.
love it.
And do what you
No, so I saw him like
you
we do
in
that
your
twice a
other
week, and he's like, I've heard that from people
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Like, I need help. I need to do this.
And so by me now fulfilling something that makes me happy, I've passed on something to you that made you feel happy.
Yeah.
All under the Bliss umbrella.
Yeah.
It's added another activity to the schedule, and everybody's benefiting in some shape or form across the length and breadth of the weekly activities, whether it's the children or the adults. Yeah. That for me is bliss. That's why we called it
The
that.
blissful life.
'Cause
It's finding your bliss,
that's
finding
the happy
your
feeling, right?
happiness.
I love how you just described that. That I think you hit on a couple things that are like the context of at home and the 9 to 5 and everything. It's like you are who you are, and everyone around you, just because has decided who you are. We come to an environment like this, like I don't know you yet. I don't know you yet. We get to just kind of explore who we are meant to be, not who we became or decided was the role we were playing. Like I played a role, and I like that role. I don't mind the role, but it wasn't all of me. And you come into this kind of environment, there's this freedom to be a little more playful, to be a little more like, who am I? What really would light me up? What really would
And we do. We ask parents. We say, what do you and your children want to do? Create it. We'll help you find a venue. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do these classes. Let's do stuff.
Like you feel like you can contribute, like you're doing something for free, but then I'm like, well, what skills and talents, what could we bring? What could we do?
Jewelry making, I could do yoga classes, I could do art projects, I can do some Keeps Fit. Well, like, what do I want to do?
Freedom to,
you enjoy it.
to do that. I love that. And also I feel what I noticed very quickly is that you are drawn to those like-minded people. And whenever we're anywhere, that's really all you want, right? People who kind of have values around how they're raising their kids and that they like to travel and these things. And pretty instantly you're like, oh, these are like-minded people who have lots of layers to them, very cool layers, and they're willing to share some of those with us.
It's lovely to know. Like we go back home, I'll catch up with an old friend in the pub, and he'll tell me the same things he was telling me 2 years ago.
Before we left. Yes.
And as much as he's my friend and I love him, I want new conversations. I want new backstories. I want people from different parts of the world telling me different things, giving me new knowledge, and I'm not going to get that in that.
It's so funny you said that. That's exact. I was just thinking that as you're saying it. My world is sports, and it's the same thing, conversations over and over again. But being able to have other conversations, meet people from other countries, it just blows my mind to be able to have those. Now I'm, again, not to downplay those friendships because those are lifelong friendships I always have, but these are new friendships that do add to me. It's like make me grow. And I told this to people when they were asking me, what are you doing? I said, when I come back, whether I get the same job or a different job, I'm going to be more valuable. I'm going to be worth more. Because I'm going to have this other experience and this other self-awareness that I've never had before. And we're only 3.5 months into this thing. And I tell Michelle all the time, like, I don't miss anything except for maybe the people. Like, I don't necessarily want to go back to that same life. So how do we change it? How do we do this? And Bliss is one of those things that is helping. I've just scratched the surface of what you guys have done and are doing, and so it's exciting to learn.
Yeah. Well, if beaches are your thing, you've got here, Koh Lanta. If you like the mountains and less of the kind of ocean stuff, Pai in northern Thailand. If you like a city backdrop, Kuala Lumpur is an evergreen hub. There's families coming there all year round. We've noticed that one never really dies down. It's just there's no off season.
Oh, because there's no off season. So
Kuala Lumpur just carries on.
And actually Malaysia's got a really big homeschooling community already.
Yeah.
So we just tapped into that.
And tapped into it. Before we wrap up, we could talk all day. I don't know, we probably have more questions.
We have time. No, I'm checking. We're good.
Well, I have a few more questions. I have a million questions, but let's touch on Worldschool for a second, of like specifically. So we've kind of talked about the community that you've built, how we all benefit from just what that is, and then there's activities that kids can learn. But we are Worldschooling our daughter this year, and that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So what is Worldschooling in this context that you utilize it?
It's very different to each family. So everyone's got
There's
their
no
own
textbook.
thing. No, there's no like guidelines. It's whatever you think. It's basically whatever Evelyn wants to do. Like if she wants to, I don't know, do scuba diving or snorkeling, or she likes sea life, or she likes animals. It's, as a parent, it's your job to put that in front of her and show her what is possible in those fields. So everything is different. For us, we We do a little bit of maths and English, so the kids like to read, and we do all online maths subscriptions just to keep up with a sort of basic level. We don't push it though, because they can learn from we give them some money, they'll go to a shop and they will buy their lunch out of the currency that they, and they're learning so many other things. And I think socially, I think they're learning a lot because they're learning how to communicate with lots of different people.
We were struggling to work out how we set a routine because like many other families, 3 years ago we were like, how are we going to get this Worldschooling to work? We know in our hearts it's the right thing for our children personally and it's the right thing for us, but how are we going to make it work? We realised, and then in these communities you also share ideas with other families because they're all a little bit confused, a bit scared themselves, right? What if I get it wrong? What if my children don't learn enough because the school said that they should be learning this by this age? And you've got to decouple yourself from that, right? You've got to let go of that,
yeah. You've got to unschool first.
So we unschooled.
Nothing.
Which is get your children's minds out of that kind of structure and set times and set classrooms and set subjects and unschool. Just let them be free. Just let them open their mind, run around, and they get curious anyway.
Yeah,
Children
they
are
ask
always
questions.
curious.
They're always asking
sponging
questions.
information in non-stop. And then once there's no set time for unschooling. Some people just like to carry on. But all we know is we want our children to be competent before they become adults. They're competent in financial literacy and numeracy and English language, reading and writing. And as long as they've got those fundamentals in place, everything else they get with life. And to your point, I think you said, a child opens a textbook and goes, oh, that's the Colosseum in Rome. I've always wanted to go there. According to this book, lots of things happened here, and this is where the gladiators were underneath, getting ready to come out. Yeah. Well, all we do with Worldschooling is we close that textbook and we make it a field trip. Every day is a field trip, and so our children get to smell, hear, see, and they experience it all, as if it was like a 7D movie. Everything's there for them, and then they come away going, I know what the Colosseum was about because I was there.
I know what it looks like, I know what it smells like, I know the texture of an elephant because I've stroked it, I know the foods, I know they've got a real...
Yeah, so there's so many subjects in the school curriculum that really won't contribute to our adult lives or our children's adult lives, but they'll spend hours and hours
studying,
being forced the information to just write it down on paper for 2 hours and go, I got the grade, and then that's it, and then it all gets washed away again. So, but whilst we don't not acknowledge the fact that it's important to understand there are religions in this world, they've been to temples, they've seen Buddhism in action, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity. They've seen it all around them as we've moved around. And that's how they've got an appreciation of what religion is about
and
and
other
what
people
faith is.
And the difference of other people, that you don't have to be all the same person and doing the same things and wearing the same clothes and talking the same. Everyone is very, very different. So then their own individuality comes out. Yes. It's okay to be me. Yes. I don't have to be like anybody else. I'm just me. I'm enjoying being who I am.
Book smart and world smart, right? Those are the two different things.
If you was to ask us, so what's going to happen then at the end of the Worldschooling journey for them? I don't know.
We don't know?
I don't know. But I do know is that they're happy and we see them developing every day and there's a smile on their face while they're doing it, and what will be will be.
Their mental health is great, and they'll be one of the most interesting people you could ever talk to. Who probably speaks multilingual languages.
I can't even describe what they'll be, but all I know is we're giving them all the tools and the experience and along this journey to be the best version of themselves. To not be kept in that factory production line in the school system. Again, our own opinion, we're not pooh-pooing schools.
Because school is a good support network for a lot of people, so it's not.
For us, it felt like they were being moulded, and some of our children, their strengths and competencies weren't being noticed or leveraged, and so we just felt like it was our job to bring out their strengths and competencies through Worldschooling, not through asking an underpaid, overworked teacher having to teach 30 children in a classroom, all with different learning styles, different learning speeds. She or he can't do that. They just can't give the child what we think they need. That's why we moved out.
So I mean, incredible. And I guess, to kind of dovetail what Michelle said, we could continue this conversation.
And we will. We
and
will. We don't have to record everything. We just will.
But as we kind of, wrap this podcast up, though, you guys mentioned you started this whole journey around COVID, right? The COVID time kind of got you going. What's next? Is there finding a location somewhere after you get a wonderful flower in your ear?
Where else can we do that?
I'm wondering if the children know what that is. What is this flower? Is it a frangipani? Is it that one?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Very nice.
Smells very sweet, doesn't it? Like honey.
I had something in mine earlier. I lost it. I don't think that's beautiful. Where else can we do that?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's like in the next? Where do you see? I know it's such a career question. It's such a career question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what do you
What do you have?
What's a spreadsheet like?
Spreadsheet man always plans ahead.
Yeah.
Emotive, instinctive lady here has taught me to be less structured, less planning.
Be a
now
bit
we
more
have to a
spontaneous,
degree
a bit.
because we've got a teenager that's nowhere near us. We've got parents that are getting no younger. So there needs to be an
There is a
outlook
time limit
towards
now,
the next
I think.
6 to 9 months.
Yeah,
I get it.
it's
But
coming.
one thing I can tell you for sure is the UK is no longer what we call home. It's now
anymore.
just another place. It just so happens that most of our friends and family are there. But so it will always be a place we go back to. But right now we say, well, if you can enjoy the beaches and the beautiful weather and the happiness that comes with Koh Lanta between January and March, and then when you need a break from the sandflies and the mozzies, and you go off to the city of Kuala Lumpur where you love the food, you love the people and the atmosphere, and you take a break from what the oceans give you, we set like a circuit where we just kind of follow the summers. And we say, are we happy? Yep, we'll stay. Are we not happy? We'll move. And that's just how we've become. We would like to, I think, settle more permanently somewhere at some point because their needs change every year. And they may no longer feel comfortable with being, as transient as we are, and they might want a bit more permanency as well. But when those needs come to us, we'll deal with it.
Every day at a time, year at a time, segment of time at a time. Absolutely.
The important thing is, are we able to fund it, and are we happy? That's it. We've got no loyalty to one place at any one time now. I think we're truly nomadic.
How does it feel to say that?
Yeah.
That must feel like
amazing. It makes me excited.
It's liberating.
I have no idea what's coming.
And we feel sorry for families that we know want to do this back home, friends of ours, but they just feel like they can't. And we just keep going on like a broken record saying,
That you can.
You can,
Everyone
honestly.
can.
I don't like seeing you sad. Come and join the happy tribe. Come and join the happy tribe.
One thing too I've learned, which has been so nice, is that you said it, like we get 2 weeks off a year. That's it.
If that,
for holiday.
Right? If that.
So I don't feel like, I go 10 days. Let's call it a 10-day window. It takes me 3 days to decompress. I get to enjoy myself for 2 days, and then I start worrying about going back for the next 3 or 4 days. So I have, for the first time, I'm here for another month. Like, wait, we're going to Australia for a month, then I'm going to here for a month. Like, I'm like. It's just like,
I think
it's interesting how that just changes where I can actually enjoy my day. I don't feel like I have to fit it all in. I can just sit and enjoy and watch and play in the pool and do things and not like, oh, I didn't do this. Like, I'm actually enjoying this space.
The only to-do list I keep now is groceries. Nothing else really. There's nothing else is important. And to the point I think I made right at the start about feeling alive again. We were in Pi and we love Pi, and we were like looking forward to Koh Lanta. So we had the excitement of the future whilst we were enjoying the present.
Already, yeah.
And even if you feel sad, because we're teaching the children, it's okay to feel upset because you are happy somewhere, because that's an emotion that is still making you feel, it's an emotion along that spectrum, right? And it's a good feeling. If you're sad, it means you enjoyed a place, and then you'll be happy when you go to the next place. So we're loving the fact that we're feeling alive and that we're living life to its fullest, really. Yeah.
And I think if you see that in your family, you see that in your person, like hearing Kent say that even, you're like, oh, there's nothing worth seeing your family be alive together, alive again, their minds opening up to what this life experience is. And to your point, that comes, a lot of emotion come with that. Like, we're transient, we're nomads, we're moving around, we miss people, we miss things, but at the same time, we're teaching this like resiliency, this like ability to come back. It's really beautiful. It's hard sometimes, but it's a really beautiful skill that when we're really comfortable at home, we're just not exercising in the same way. So we feel like, and they're young too, right? Will they remember parts of it? Somebody, people ask us a lot, like, do you think she's even going to remember? And I say, well, I do, because she seems to just have that. But what I do know is she'll just know. She will know that we did this together. They will always have that.
We sometimes worry about that, but actually they're soaking up so much stuff. It's shaping their thinking, the way they approach decisions, problem solving. It's all there. It's shaping and molding them. We just need to just trust and let it happen.
How can people find Bliss?
So you know
I think
what?
you can just put
we
Bliss
don't
in Google
we don't
or
actually
in
do that
Facebook
much,
and it pops
right?
up.
Bliss. There's a Bliss website, which is the home.
But that's the whole thing. You don't do a lot, but everybody, but you've done plenty. But that's what that's what the funny is. It's like you don't do, but everyone.
I think you can put Bliss in Facebook, but if you Worldschoolers Bliss, it's always got Bliss in the title. So if you put Worldschooling or Bliss, I think Bliss more,
You'll find it.
You'll find it. It'll just pop up, and then you choose what location you want to tap into.
And then you make it so easy from that point forward. Once you say, I'm interested, you say, come on, and it's like magic.
How can we help?
Like,
Let's get
for the
it. let's
50 or
get
so
it
families
now.
that are here, I would tell you on one hand, we've had a conversation with them beforehand to say, this is what you need to do, we're glad that you're coming. Because the other 40 are it's word of mouth, it's advocacy, it's referrals. The families come here, they enjoy it so much that when someone says, we're going to leave our country for the first time, but we want to meet other families, someone does it for us and says, Bliss Hubs, you need to go.
Yeah.
And we're just getting tagged.
Yeah, their own testimonies, isn't it? Their
And
own
as you know, when it comes to
experiences,
marketing, the best form of marketing
is other people.
word of mouth.
The families.
It's the only one that really
So
stays.
but there is a registration process because we want to make sure we know who's coming, and
It's
then
just
we allow
safeguarding
people
everyone
into a
who's in the
WhatsApp
group.
chat community so that we know they've already registered, and then we know they're coming, and we can help them with accommodate. Not
Also, we know
literally-
how the children as well, what age their children are,
Yeah.
what they want.
We
from
can just
the-
help them feel settled, knowing that when they get here, these families do exist. Bliss does really exist.
Yeah.
It's it's not just made up, and then that's it. It's organic from there onwards. You get out what you put in. I always say. So if you bring something to the table, a new skill, a new experience for the children or the adults, you start making Bliss a better place for everyone else.
Yeah.
And we just let that happen.
Well, as the island rain is flooding in a little bit, and the
I know
kids are
island life
getting
is
the
happening.
kids are
It's
getting
amazing.
hungry, and might be time for some pool time here. It is time for us to say so long, but thank you for doing this. I mean, we can't thank you enough for spending the time, taking the time, for kicking my butt the other day.
I'm going to do it again on Thursday. I want to see you on
I'm
Thursday.
signed up. I'm ready to rock and roll.
You know, Everly can just play on a tablet or a phone or read a
We had
book at the
kids out
side,
there.
so you can.
I might do it this
4 or 5
time.
kids.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I think I might do
Yeah,
it this
yeah,
time.
kids
Because I
out
keep
there.
letting everyone else have the fun. I'm like, no.
It's crazy.
I can't wait.
You guys,
Sweat it out together.
we appreciate you guys allowing us to talk more about what we've got here, spreading the word, and hopefully more and more families hear about this and they find their bliss too.
Well, as we said at the beginning of this
Thank you.
program, it's possibility, creativity, tranquility, and you and your family and Bliss encompass all three. So thank you for doing it, and we will, I guarantee you, we will talk to you again very soon.